Good morning, everyone. I'm just jumping on to make a quick video. I apologize in advance because I will not be editing this video. I'm making it really quick because we are heading off on a family getaway for just a long weekend, and we have a bunch of things to do this morning, and I want to get this up for Sunday, so there will be no editing. So once again, apologizing in advance for all the so's, additional ums and ahs that I will not be taking out of this video, as well as the fact that I have no idea when my kids are going to wake up, and we could hear knocking on the door and interruptions, and we are just going to go with it. This video will be super brief compared to my other ones, but I just wanted to give a quick monthly update of where I'm at on the status of my cozy murder mystery, what I've been doing this past month to prepare for it, and what challenges that I'm already facing with it, and what my plans are for moving forward to keep the momentum going. So I'm really proud of what I've accomplished in 1 month. I decided to join Ninja Writers Writing Club. They have two different tracks that you can do. You can do the Writer Club or you could do the Guild. The Guild is more expensive and you do get more additional support in terms of feedback on your work. There's more opportunities for Zoom calls on feedback and revision and all that. I didn't feel where I was in the process that I needed that at this point because I really just want to focus on finishing a first draft. And I do feel that the resources that I'm being provided with the writing club was worth the money at this point. So, what I've had access to is some of the courses that help you plot out a novel. So, I spent a good portion of the month doing the exercises and going through the coursework for that. So, I've been able to write out, and I have documents upon documents already saved in my Google Drive with my 5 main plot points, some sequences for the 3-act structure. I'm pretty much completed with Act 1 and most of Act 3. It's Act 2 that I'm not as sure about. I've gone to some of the Zoom calls on Saturday mornings where you can just kind of ask questions about the process or get some feedback on your ideas or just get help where you get stuck. So at the most recent meeting that I had this past Saturday, I basically shared out my sequences for Act 1 and shared that where I'm kind of stuck is that I know my beginning and I know my ending, but I'm really not as clear with my Act 2 right now. And I'm afraid that if I keep grinding my wheels on this, just spinning my wheels, I'm not going to ever get started on the draft. And at that point, Shonda Grimes, who runs the program, she gave me the feedback that I definitely have enough to move forward and should start drafting the first draft. And then we can deal with Act 2 when I get to there because I already know what's leading up to my inciting incident. So that was really exciting and helpful. I also joined, and I might have talked about this in the first video, but I joined Sisters in Crime, the national syndicate, as well as the New England chapter, as well as the online Guppies chapter, and it's been great. So I'm getting a lot out of the Guppies chapter. There's some really awesome people on there who you can join different subgroups. So I'm in like a cozy group, a newbie group, a goal group, and people are just very encouraging. They share what their weekly goals are. They share their weekly wins at the end of the ones they share where they need like brainstorming help on online forums. So that's been great. And then I've also been watching some of the webinars on the National Syndicate. I don't think I've spent as much time in my local chapter, but I did sign up for the New England Crime Bake, which is a conference coming up in November. So I'm really excited about that. And there'll be a lot of cool workshops on crafting, mysteries, and things like that. So I'm sure I'll get a lot out of that, and I'll probably buy a lot of books there too. But that's going to be really fun. And then I've also signed up. They do have classes that you can do. So I'm going to be taking a class on finding your voice, which I think will be really helpful. And that starts September 1st. And that's through email, but also you get feedback from the instructor, and I think she'll read and give feedback on your first 3 chapters. I think that's going to come really in handy because I've actually started this week writing the first draft, and I'm just feeling like I'm very well aware that it's hot garbage, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I just feel like at this point I'm getting the ideas in order. Like kind of there's a lot of telling going on and not a lot of showing, and I'm very well aware of that. So it's hard for me to find the exact voice that I want for my main character, for her son. It all feels a little bland at this point. So I do feel like what I'm going to learn from that course is going to be really beneficial to moving forward with my draft. So I just feel like at this point, being involved in these different programs, I'm not only getting a lot of education moving forward on like how to write and how to write a mystery specifically, and also how to just organize my thoughts, but also as someone who's neurodivergent and has trouble sticking with things long term, especially when you get to the messy middle or things get kind of boring or things get really hard. Just having people that I can bounce ideas off of or share my work with is very motivating and helps keep me on track. So I really do feel confident that I will be able to get through this first draft. And with the tracking that I'm doing, because I'm tracking my word count every day, even though my goal is not to focus on word count. So I should back up and say that in the Ninja Writer program, they really focus on 10 minutes a day, because Shonda Grimes, who created this program, she did it for herself. She's a published author. She finds that with her ADHD, it's much easier to focus on just 10 minutes a day. She often goes beyond 10 minutes a day. I've also gone beyond 10 minutes a day, but there were a couple days this week that I really could only do 10 minutes. It's all I had the brain power for, and I had other things going on, and I feel good about that. I feel like 10 minutes a day is much more sustainable than trying to go for a word count, even something as small as like 250 words to 500 words. I think the 10 minutes and just being consistent every day is going to get me through the draft more than just if I force myself to try to focus on a particular word count. I just feel like that's going to be too much pressure. So that said, because now I just lost my train of thought, honestly, and I don't have a lot of notes with me. So I apologize for that because I'm trying to get this all out. So let's just go with, so I had that last meeting with the group, was encouraged to start writing the draft. I have spent 10 minutes a day starting Monday, and it's now Friday. So as of today, I have 2,356 words written, and most of it is garbage. Just going to be totally frank, and it's causing me a lot of stress because I'm aware that it's not good. And then I wonder to myself, can I actually make this better? How should I go about this? I'm getting all up in my headspace of, do I need to actually slow down and make it as best as I can be before I get to the revision at the end of the draft? Or should I just move the plot forward and just keep moving forward, knowing that as I come back to it, I can fix all those things later on? And I've done a lot of research in my free time on this. Like, I'm just Google searching, like, how bad is a first draft? Or, like, is my first draft salvageable? Or things like that. And there's been a lot of good information out there. And once again, there's just, like, no right or wrong answer to this question. There are some people who are able to really slow it down and painstakingly write out their words and just think about all of the factors that go into it: character development, plot development, sentence structure, figurative language, all of it as they're going through. And then there's other people like me, for example, that's not going to work for. I'm realizing this as I'm going through, because I get so overwhelmed by big picture and small picture details that it's much better for me just to tell myself the story at this point. I am doing my best to, how do I say this? Put it in scene format. So I am going from scene to scene to scene based on my outline, but I'm noticing that there's like the dialogue is kind of crap. The scene descriptions are either lacking or just kind of the, but I don't think that's really the point at this point of where I'm at. I really do have to focus on this is my first draft. Let's let it just be word vomit at this point, get through point A at the beginning to point Z at the very end, and then I think I will be the type of person who does better at critiquing what I have and then tweaking it versus trying to get it right on the first shot. I think that's going to end up tripping me up and just making me think I can't do it at all, and then I'll just give up. So I am feeling that this is probably the better process for me. And it even helped because I was looking up this morning after I'd written my 10 minutes and was like, this is really awful. I came across a couple of articles that people had posted on Reddit. And one of them was about how for most published authors, they write at least 10 drafts. That's what I saw. I don't know how accurate that is. That seems like a lot, but they actually went through what those 10 different drafts were, from like the first draft, which is just the garbage draft, to the second draft where you start building and tightening up just the storyline. And then there was a draft on just focusing on developing the characters. And then there's editorial drafts. So that actually made me feel a lot better, knowing that, okay, I don't have to go from a really crappy first draft to having a pristine second draft, that there's layers to this. And I do feel like I have the resources with both the Ninja Writers group and the Sisters in Crime group, especially when with Sisters in Crime, they have critique groups that come around again and again. I missed the first one, but I wasn't ready for it, and I'm not worried about that. So I think as I go through this process and then give myself time to have other people look at my work and give me feedback and things to think about, I will be fine. Because I mean, I was an English teacher for 14 years and I've been a voracious reader. So I think it's both a blessing and a curse to be able to look at my writing and say, this is garbage. These characters are flat and one-dimensional. I don't have enough description here. This part is really boring and there's too much exposition here. There's too much info dumping. But that's actually a good thing, because I'm aware of that. I know that when I get to the point where now I can start looking at those things and tweaking those things and changing those things, I'll be able to do it. Versus if I just went along and typed it up but didn't really understand these things, didn't know these things, then I could get to the end of my draft and be like, okay, but I don't know where to go from here. So I really am doing my best at this point to shut off that inner editor, which is really hard, trying to find just the right words, and instead like just let it flow through the order of the story as it needs to come in. And that's where I'm at with that. So my goals for this draft overall, because I will give monthly updates, but this is my thought process for now. Now, tomorrow I won't be able to do my 10 minutes of writing because I'm not taking my laptop with me. I'm not going to type on my phone. I think that would be way too annoying. I might bring a notebook with me. So if I do have a little bit of time, maybe I will longhand, who knows? And then I can just type it up when I get home the next day. That does sound reasonable to me. It just depends on what time I get up in the morning on Saturday and what our evenings look like together, because this weekend is all about family and family bonding, which is also what my book is about. So there's that. But yes, so my plan is to just keep on 10 minutes a day. Hopefully I am averaging, like there are some days where I'm getting over 500 to 600 words in a session because I am writing longer than 10 minutes. In the days where I am just working 10 minutes, I'm getting about 150 to 200 words. But my ideal goal would be to finish this by February, take a break in March, and then at the end of March reread the whole draft, and then for 3 months start the major revision process, and then give myself the summer to do some of those other revisions, critique groups, and things like that. Will I stick to that? Who knows? I hope I will. I think that these monthly check-ins on my YouTube channel will also be giving me some accountability. And if you have any questions about the process or any of the resources, and I'll link them down below as well, let me know. If you are a writer, whether it's cozies or mysteries or a completely different genre, let me know what you're working on and how it's going, because I'd love to know. And that's it for this update. I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, I apologize for this unedited, chatty video. And hopefully, moving forward, I'll have more time to edit and get better at editing. But I might not, because I'm starting back at work in 2 weeks and I will be busy. So maybe I'll just be getting unedited, unscripted videos, and hopefully that will be fine too. But I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.